So I have always been a massive horror fan, love the genre. Scary movies just do something for me. They're exciting, they get your adrenaline pumping. And despite me being a big horror fan, being a big slasher fan as well, the subgenre of slashers are just super entertaining, just really fun, really engaging as a viewer, like, oh, get out of there, get alive. I've always hated Freddy Krueger. I've always thought he was overrated. I've always thought he was goofy, but he had the most potential out of any other slasher. So what better way to test my, you know what I'm saying, to test my previous, hold on. Wait, zip up. Whoa, zip up, sir. So what better way to challenge my previous thoughts, my previous notions, than watching the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise? So that's what we did. Welcome to another watch party. I'm your host, Scatpeezy. Today, we'll be watching, ranking, reviewing all of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchises. And yes, I'm even doing the crossover film, Freddy vs. Jason. And yes, I'm even doing the reboot. Let's get into it. We gotta start with the 1980s classic, the original, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
From Wes Craven, Nightmare on Elm Street.
So A Nightmare on Elm Street follows our main character Nancy and her friend group as they all deal with the same night terror. A man with a dusty brown hat, a red and green sweater, and knives for fingers. You know, eventually as the movie progresses, more and more of her friends get killed in their sleep. And she asks around the town, like, who is this man? Who is he? And eventually learns the mystery of Freddy Krueger. Now, for me, the film is dope. I mean, this is a horror classic for a reason. It deserves that title, that moniker. It's fire. I mean, Freddy Krueger is such an original creation, such a like unique design for a slasher villain. Like, he's a bit of a force of nature. He's inevitable.
I am inevitable.
To an extent, because we all have to go to sleep sometime, you know what I'm saying? And if you staying up, that's gonna drive you even crazier. Then you're gonna see Freddy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a cool idea, and I feel like this first film in particular just executes near perfection. There's some highlights, there's a lot of highlights, but there are some lowlights as well, and I think it's about time we get up into those. So getting into the highlights, I want to first talk about this dreamlike quality to the film. And I don't mean just the nightmare sequences, obviously, but I just mean the entire film as a whole. The colors, the blue tint, especially for those night scenes, is just so ethereal, if you will. You feel me? It just looks beautiful. It looks super weird and shiny, glossy for the entire film, especially the end. I hate the ending. We'll get to that in the lowlights, but it just has such a weird, distinct look. Along with the visuals, the performances are so weird. Like, the performances aren't good. I don't want to say it's a directing issue necessarily, but the performances are not good. But I think that adds to the dreamlike quality. It seems like they're all in a dream, the entire film. And I don't know if that's intentional, but that's how I saw it. Like, that's how I viewed it. And I like that though. I would consider that a highlight for sure. The practical effects, I mean, everything looks amazing, right? From the makeup on Freddy's face, to the blood splurting out of, you know what I'm saying, when he slices people, to the freaking, the rotating room, like all of these effects were done in camera and they all look timeless. They look better than some stuff I've seen today, no lie. Freddy himself is a highlight. I mean, Robert Englund's performance as Freddy Krueger, I mean, it goes down as one of those characters that you just can't recast. And we'll see in a later film, they try it. We'll see, you know what I'm saying? But Robert Englund as Freddy, just magnifique. I mean, he brings this gravitas to the role, and he's so fun to watch, and he's fun to watch, but he's also terrifying, you know what I'm saying? So very good, big highlight there, no lie. Last but not least, the music. We're talking about a dreamlike quality. The music, like, it's so weird and creepy, but also mystical, right? Mastical, okay. It's very weird, creepy, but also a little bit mystical. Like, it's a little fantasy in the music, kinda. It's a dream. It's a dream, true. All right, let's get into these lowlights. We talked about the practical effects, which were wonderful, but they had to go the practical route because the budget was down here. The budget was super low. Now, that's not a bad thing necessarily, because I like some low budget, some independent type films, but at times, the budget being low, it's kind of noticeable, specifically at the very ending when he pulls the mom through the window. The ending in general sucked to me. I hated it, okay? Because it was so like rushed a little bit. The pacing was way off. Also, Freddy Krueger, the way he chases his victims throughout the entire film, what am I watching, family? This is not scary. That's stupid. That's like me messing with my little cousin, chasing him around. Like, that's literally, I'm like, how are the actors not laughing? How are the behind the scenes people? You feel me? Like, it looked that bad. It kind of took me out of the film. Also, speaking about the ending, I guess I didn't like the ending of this film, but the Home Alone sequence, nah, buddy, pack it up. I mean, I know this actually predates Home Alone, so, but I don't care. I hated it. Like, you feel me? I hated it. Like, she should have fought Freddy off in another type of way. It was just stupid. It was goofy, and it was a little bit of tonal inconsistency, in my opinion. I didn't like it. But for real, for lowlights, that's really it. I mean, the film is actually really good. I mean, I would say it's a classic. For A Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm gonna include my favorite scene and a fun fact. So let's get over to my favorite scene. I'm gonna just play that for y'all right now. Now for these fun facts, I went out and just found video clips that I thought were interesting, and I thought I'd just insert them in my video, so here you go.
We wanted to use a commercially available knife. This little Echo steak knife was the most brutal looking thing. Reground, remounted on the glove to make those long talons. I remember the first time Robert tried the glove on. First thing he did was cut himself, like everybody did, because we didn't realize that if you folded your fingers all the way, the knives went into your wrist. But then he sort of looked at Wes and got that smile on his face and went, that became his look with the glove.
Gonna get you. I really began to play with it.
They had several different ones. They had sharp ones and plastic ones and non-sharp ones. And whenever Freddy would grab me, I'd say, this is the not sharp one, right? You know? And often they would forgotten to switch him out. He's like, oh no, this is the sharp one. Yeah, it caused a lot of nightmares.
So if I had to compare A Nightmare on Elm Street to the other films, the first film, this is where it goes. I hope there's enough space over there. If not, this is where it goes. We'll see. We'll see what slide I put it on, because I'm kind of in the middle of the frame, but we'll see. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street is a very strong start to the franchise. I mean, when you have such a, I mean, this wasn't Wes Craven's debut film, but when you have such a, you know what I'm saying? This is his first like big hit, right? When you have such a big hit, following up, I mean, it's a lot of pressure. Who knows? Is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 worthy of the first film?
We'll see, bitch. We'll just see.
Let's see right now. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Now this film really surprised me. I enjoyed it a lot, but it's different from the first because it actually has Freddy in the real world now, which a lot of people say it's breaking the lore, it's breaking the canon, which honestly, I thought it was just an elevation of the lore. I thought it was just an additional, you feel me? Because Freddy wasn't just popping out of thin air. He had a vessel in this film. Our main character, what's his name? I don't have Buddy's name. But our main character is this teenage boy in high school, and he's, okay, so we gotta talk about this now. There are undertones of homosexuality throughout the film, right? A young boy coming to terms with his sexuality is a metaphor, well, no. Freddy trying to inhabit this young boy's body and use him for his will is a metaphor for this young boy coming to terms with his sexuality. Apparently, you feel me? I'm not reaching here. The people involved with the making of the film said, yes, this was meant to be in the subtext.
But I do think it remains like one of the most sort of debated movies of all time because it's not even under the surface. It's so there.
You know, we've always pussyfooted around this. Look, it was supposed to be subtext, all right? It really was.
David Chaskin, without a doubt, knew what he was writing.
You have to remember, again, this was the 1980s.
Now, is it a little heavy-handed at times? Yes. Now, did I think beforehand I would like this film? No, because I knew it was gay. No offense, it's just me. I don't like that type of, but the film was actually really good. Despite, I'm not gonna say despite, but with, you know what I'm saying? It was actually really good. It was really good. Not despite him being gay. Let me chill. People are gonna be mad, but hey, it was good, okay? We have a lot of highlights for this film. Specifically, the body horror elements. Having Freddy inhabit this body, seeing him bust out of the body, his freaking arm growing out of his arm, his head coming out of his it was redonkulous. In general, I feel like A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was way scarier than the first. Like, where the first had Freddy, you know, chasing him goofily, this one doesn't really have that because Freddy's standing on business. Freddy's actually teleporting, all type of cool stuff. You feel me? Freddy is a highlight as well, but not in the same vein as the first. I feel like in the second one, he just feels way more inhuman, like a beast, because he doesn't even have the razor glove. The knives are actually lodged within his actual fingers. It's disgusting, but it's freaking awesome. What? The acting in general, much better. Where I saw the first film's acting as intentionally bad for that dreamlike quality, I feel like the second film has more standard Hollywood film acting. You know, I feel like much better performances, especially from our lead. The guy, he was actually a better final girl. That's what they call him in horror. But he's a scream queen, a male scream queen. But he's actually a better final girl to me than Nancy. I actually really cared for the dude. It was crazy. And especially his love interest, Lisa. I mean, Lisa gotta be a highlight. Man, clap it up for Lisa, y'all. Cause Lisa was standing on business the entire film, and we want to see her win and beat Freddy, but at the same time, we don't, because Freddy is also, I forgot the main character's name. I remember Lisa because that was my favorite character. I forgot the main character's name, you feel me? But the main character, the guy, I'm gonna just call him the boy. How about that? The boy was Freddy. Freddy was the boy. So we obviously want to see Lisa survive because that's my girl, that's my dog. But at the same time, we don't want to see the boy die. That's our main character. So it was dramatic, like there were stakes here. Let's get to the lowlights. The homosexuality, I would consider it a low light because it felt left field. It felt weird. It felt a little heavy-handed, like I said, heavy-handed at times, a little agenda-ish, right? Like, why did the boy end up going to a gay bar at one point and meeting his coach? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like weird little stuff like that. But I would still say, besides that one scene, it was actually handled like very solid. It was in the subtext besides that scene. It just seemed so out of place. It was super strange. In the intro scene with the bus drive me crazy, it was poop. In my opinion, it was one of the worst scenes of the film, but they were just using it to kind of show off that they got a bigger budget. I swear, like, and it looked like crap. When the bus was dangling up, it looked like crap, in my opinion. But for real, that's all I got for lowlights. I mean, the film was dope. It surprised me, because it has a little bit of a rep, so I went in thinking, it's probably gonna be a filler installment in the franchise. Probably not gonna be that good. It's gonna be agenda filled. But it was actually, it's my favorite one I've seen thus far. I haven't finished the franchise when I'm recording this right now, but it's my favorite I've seen so far. It's freaking dope. Now, my favorite scene of this film, it has to be the body horror sequence where he actually kills his homie Ron. I'm gonna play some clips from that now. And a fun fact about this film, this is gonna blow y'all's minds.
One stage, it was decided to hire a stuntman to play Freddy. Now, there are a variety of reasons why this happened. One is because England's agent was asking for more money. The other is New Line Cinema wanted to save money and felt that it would be cheaper to hire a stuntman, much in the same way the Friday the 13th and Halloween movies do with the Jason and Michael characters. However, the production wasn't impressed with the hired stuntman's portrayal of Freddy Krueger, as it was felt that he walked around like Frankenstein's monster. In fact, his performance was so bad, England was rushed back and quickly signed on to once again play Freddy Krueger. Supposedly, some of the shots of the stuntman playing Freddy still made it in the final film, in brief glimpses in the scene where the coach is killed in the shower room.
Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is actually way better than I expected. And if I had to compare it to the other films, it would go right here. Or right here, I don't know. Yeah, I was thoroughly surprised by this film. It was really good. It was really good. And I want to see how they follow this up. You know, you give me a good start, you give me a banger sequel? And a lot of people love the third. A lot of people love this third one, but I think it's just nostalgia blinded them. But let's talk about the third one.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors, rated R.
Now showing at a theater near you.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Now, this film had potential. In my opinion, I would say this film is mid, right? But it involves a group of teens who are experiencing Freddy in their dreams, right? They're actually in a home, like not an asylum, but like a institute, right? For people, sleep deprived children, deprivation. Yeah, sleep deprived, there we go. Sleep deprived children, right? And they're figuring out that they all have different abilities within their dreams. So they come together and try to actually fight against Freddy. This film actually adds a lot to the lore. It gives us more of Freddy's backstory. We learn who his mama was. It's cool. I mean, it's just cool. Like, I don't know. We'll get to the lowlights in particular, but first we're gonna start with these highlights. Freddy in this film, I know every time I say Freddy's a highlight, but in this film is different. The showing of his power, the showcasing of his abilities was so unique here. At one point, he inhabited a little stop motion animated puppet. What? And the animation was so smooth and looked so good. At one point, he's popping out of a TV, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just so creative. And that's an iconic scene, by the way. Welcome to Showtime. My fault, you know what I'm saying? I like that scene. But yes, Freddy's showcase of his abilities was fire. Again, I previously touched on the building of the lore, but this film does a lot for the lore of a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. It tells us a little, well, I don't want to say it tells us why Freddy did what he did, but it kind of explains his conception, right? And pretty dark. I mean, he's the bastard child of 100 maniacs. So, yeah. Let's get to the lowlights. I mean, that's really all I have for highlights. Lowlights, I'm about to cook. This film is a cheese puff. This film is so cheesy, campy, corny that at points it took me all the way out. I'm beautiful and bad.
In my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad.
What? What are we doing? And with the camp and the cheese, there are still scenes in the film that are super scary and terrifying. And so it creates this kind of tonal whiplash for me. And it made the watch hard. It made the watch just weird. It was just a weird film. Weird, just the tonal whiplash, the tonal inconsistencies. Nah. The effects, so obviously they got a little bit of budget now, you know what I'm saying? They got some budget to play with, and they went OD with like the visual effects, like the little lightning effects, the stupid wizard scene where you blasted, which is, I mean, you could say it's cool. It is cool. Like the concept is good. Like them actually having abilities in their dreams, since it's in their minds, it makes sense. But the way they executed in this film, it was too silly. It was just what it didn't. You feel me? It didn't deliver on that premise, in my opinion. But that's really all I can say for lowlights. I mean, the film is solid. It's still good. No, not good. It's mid. But my favorite scene is right here. One of the more intense, serious scenes is my favorite. Who would have thought? Right here.
Fella, wake up.
Oh shit! What's he doing?
Pretty intense, right? But speaking of intensity, my fun fact for this film, not really fun, but check me out.
The most memorable disguise in this movie is that of a giant slug-like snake monster, in which Freddy literally tries to eat main protagonist Kristen Parker, played by Patricia Arquette, in her first acting role, by the way. However, the Freddy snake was originally pink and fleshy looking, but it was decided that that design would have to be changed, on the account that it basically looked like a giant cock, hence its darker appearance in the film, but still making it one of the most memorable Freddy props.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But anyways, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is fine, it's solid, it's mid, and if I had to compare it to the other films in the franchise, bang. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna figure it out in post. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was okay, I enjoyed it, and I know this is a lot of people's favorite in the franchise, or one of their favorites. I'm like, that's you, not me, respectfully. But that's the first 3. That's like a little mini trilogy, right? I mean, there's 6 more left. So let's move on to A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Why not?
A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. The Dream Master.
It's the next day, but the grind don't stop. We got more Nightmare on Elm Street films to discuss. And I think, yeah, we left off on the 4th one. We're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Yes! Interesting film here. I actually quite enjoyed The Dream Master. Now, the film follows... Yeah, okay, so the film is weird. It follows our main character from the 3rd film, although now she's been recast. And the couple of characters that survived that 3rd film, they get killed. They all get killed in the beginning of the film and to introduce our new characters, which is very strange because it feels like, you know, for the first 30 minutes of the film, we're tying up loose ties from the previous film, which I don't like that. But they kill off the main character and now we have this new character who actually inherits their powers, which it gets kind of crazy, okay? She inherits their powers and Freddy comes for her and her friend group. And she has to find out a way to stop. That's pretty much the plot. Let's get into the highlights and lowlights. Starting off with these highlights, the dream sequences in I want to keep saying Nightmare on Freddy's. I keep wanting to say A Five Nights at Freddy's. It's crazy. But the dream sequences in A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, are absolutely peak. These are the best dream sequences we've seen. Excuse me. Damn, disgusting.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
These are the best dream sequences we've seen in the entire franchise up to this point. I mean, the way that the stages and the setting transition so smoothly, the colors, the set design, I mean, The dream sequences in this film are just top tier. The effects are better than usual. Now they have quite a bit of budget, okay? So they can do visual effects, they can do practical effects, and I feel like this film specifically, it perfectly tied the two of them together. Now, of course, you're gonna have some visual effects that look bad. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's the 80s. But most of them actually look solid, and all the practical effects, magnifique. I mean, one of the kills, Freddy turned one of the characters into a giant roach, and it squished her. And it looked fire. We see our arms kind of melting off and becoming roach arms. It was disgusting, but it was incredible. The creative kills. I mean, this film has some of the most creative sequences. This film also, I feel like, is super experimental in its format. We see time loops at certain points throughout the film. We see our main character get sucked into a movie through the screen and then have to live out a sequence of her life. It was super weird, but I love that. Now, what I will say is when she got sucked into the screen, it should have been black and white, but you can call that nitpicking, whatever. Getting into these lowlights, the pacing was redundant in the worst possible way. It was way too fast. It was like, again, for the first 30 minutes, we're getting rid of the old characters. So yeah, the movie has to move like this. So we don't really get true introductions for the new characters. It's really rushed. It's like the plot goes from A to Z, not A to B. It goes all over the place. It's kind of crazy. Things just happen, it feels like, you know? The characters are fairly formulaic. Like, the characters have no depth. It's just like, you know, her brother. Obviously, we don't want to see her brother die because it's the main character, like, but her brother dies, and it's like they have to move on. No time to truly mourn. They have to keep going because this plot is so crazy. The logic, I mean, Alice as a main character, like, yeah, she's the main character, but throughout the entire film, she's essentially bringing her friends to Freddy to be sacrificed. And it's like, partially as the audience, we're like, hey man, I don't like this Alice chick, bro. She getting all her friends killed. It's her fault. It's Alice. It was your fault. So, I mean, very weird decisions there all around. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's really all for the highlights and lowlights. The lowlights are pretty strong, but the highlights, I feel like the highlights kind of counteracted, making this movie a little bit better than mid. I would say the movie was actually, I would argue the movie's good. I would say good, flat out. Speaking of good, here's my favorite scene from this film. It was fire.
If food don't kill you, the service will. The usual. My favorite. Rick, you little meatball. I love soul food.
No! Stop!
Bring me more.
Pretty cool scene, right? I mean, Freddy's stealing the show, the entire film. And here's a fun fact about the film.
First up, there's the character Kristen Parker, who was the main protagonist in Part 3. Only back then, she was played by actress Patricia Arquette. However, Arquette didn't want to reprise her role for the 4th movie. Now, there are several claims as to why this happened. It's been suggested that it was over a pay dispute, but Arquette has claimed that she didn't return because she wanted to star in more challenging roles, ones that felt more meatier, you know, getting away from the horror genre. So instead, an actress called Tuesday Knight took over, who is basically there to be terrorized by Freddy and then promptly killed off.
Now, compiling all that together, a Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, would be about here when compared to the other films. What do you guys think, though? I know this film actually does have its fans, but it gets a lot of hate as well. I would say the hate is undeserved. I would say the film is actually pretty good. It's solid, you know what I'm saying? We already know. Every franchise has its stinker. This is not that. It's not that. But let's go on to the next film. We're now 4 in, but now let's talk about the 5th. I keep wanting to say Five Nights at Freddy's. It's crazy.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. When it comes to terror, remember, Freddy knows best.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. This film is very much still tied in with the 4th, bringing in those characters, adding in a couple new ones, and really carrying a lot of the same plot points. But what I will say, I'll point this out, we're 5 movies in. This franchise is not formulaic. Like, I feel like every film genuinely tries to do something new. To this point, it's all worked. Even the 5th one, I feel like, does a lot of interesting stuff. Unfortunately, yes, our main character, her boyfriend, he gets killed, which it does suck, but the way he gets killed, it's unique. It's not necessarily the coolest thing, right? He got transformed into a motorcycle mid-drive, like on some Transformers stuff. The motorcycle was like attaching to him and whatnot, and then he crashed into a truck, right? Because, you know, it's in his dream. But like, that's cool, but It didn't necessarily look the best, I'm gonna be honest. But I mean, cool, interesting stuff like Freddy. He's getting a little campy now. Freddy's getting a little bit campy at this point, and we're seeing more and more of his backstory come into the play, come into the actual story. This film is really about Freddy, his mother, Alice, and Alice's unborn child. So Freddy is actually trying to influence Alice's unborn child, right? Alice's friends, of course, begin to die, and she's like, I don't understand, I haven't been sleeping, right? Because Freddy comes for her friends when she sleeps. I told you, she's bringing Freddy the victims, but now she's not even sleeping. So what's going on here? Turns out her babies are almost perpetually in a state of rest. They're always resting, dreaming. Her baby's dreams are actually impacting her friends now. And Freddy's trying to get, you know what I'm saying, into the baby's mind and have the baby do his will, right? Have the baby kill these people. Alice has to figure out a way to work with Freddy's dead mother to stop him from taking over her baby. Very weird. Let's just get into the highlights and lowlights. The story was really redundant. Really, it's getting a lot more spiritual now. It's getting a lot more strange. They're adding more and more to the lore. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of convoluted at the same time. But that's for the lowlights. For the highlights, I'll say this film is very unique. It's very experimental, kind of like the fourth, but a little bit crazier here, because now we're having flashbacks through dreams, unborn children talking to their mother through dreams. It's kind of crazy, but it's kind of cool at the same time. The drama in this film. So it deals with Alice and her unborn child. So obviously Alice has been going through some mental health struggles, dealing with this nightmare dream serial killer, but the outward world doesn't really see what's going on internally, so they just think she's an unfit mother. So there's a lot of good commentary in this film about abortion. They say to Alice, like, look, do you think you're mentally ready to have a child? She's like, no, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very dramatic. Like, she's literally spoken to the baby. She's like, no, I gotta keep the baby, that's my baby, right? But they're trying to talk her out of it. They're trying to get the baby for adoption. The drama in this film was actually well done. This is probably the most this ain't the most I've cared for the characters, but these characters probably have had the most depth. These characters actually, you feel for them, right? And I think that was well done. And then I did kind of touch on this, the lore additions. I mean, I'll put this in the highlights, but it's a little bit of both, to be honest, a highlight and a low light. They add a whole lot to the lore. They're really fleshing this world out, fleshing out Freddy as a character, even fleshing out Alice and her family, which it is crazy that they're doing all this fleshing out for Alice, and then in the next film, they just, so yeah, we gonna get to that next film, boy. But yes, the lore additions, good and bad. Speaking of the bad, let's get to these lowlights. I previously mentioned Alice wasn't sleeping, and I feel like the films are less and less showing the effects of sleep deprivation. I feel like she's like, yeah, I haven't slept in like 2 weeks, but she looks perfectly fine. Like in the first film and the second film, when they weren't sleeping, you could see it. They had bags under their eyes. They're daydreaming and then having to wake up, you know what I'm saying? Like they're on edge. They have goosebumps everywhere they go. And I feel like they stopped really showing the effects of sleep deprivation in the later films, particularly in this one. Like, it's just a line, right? The kills in this one, so weak. I mean, Freddy was all right. Again, he's getting campier and campier with every film. But the kills are just soft. They're just trash. Like, but the one kill that was fire, actually, that could be my favorite kill. Last but not least, the plot of this film. Now, it is balancing a lot. I mentioned it's showing flashbacks, it's fleshing out Freddy's lore. There's the new inclusion of her baby. She had loose plot points from the last film as the boyfriend. They're graduating from high school now. They're going, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole lot going on in this story. And I feel like the plot is just like that. Like, they go from here to there, to here to there. People just end up places now. That's something that's starting to go on. It's no really rhyme or reason sometimes. And that's a big low light for me. But getting out the low lights, I do have some scenes I like. Here's my favorite scene from this film. Yeah, and then here's my fun fact for this film, because, yeah, Baby Freddy was pretty weird.
I was called in by Alan Monroe, who was the visual effects supervisor. He had a sketch of Freddy Baby. They said they needed Freddy to be reborn, so they needed a puppet of Freddy as a baby. It was a puppet. It was a hand puppet. Somebody's hand was up in here. It was like a girl that worked for me, Lisa Doring. She was in there moving the head around. And then the arms were operated by a rod underneath the set. And then the facial features, like the mouth opening and closing and the eyes blinking and moving, and he had a brow that went up and down. It had a lot of facial expression. That was all operated by radio control by somebody behind camera.
Overall, A Dream Child, it is bad, but it's not horrible. It's bad, but I would not consider this one a stinker. With all these watch parties, we've been looking for the franchise that doesn't have a stinker. So far, 5 movies in, we haven't found a single stinker. Here's where I would compare The Dream Child to the other Nightmare on Elm Street films. Like, it's bad, but honestly, when watching it, it's something I would potentially watch again. Like, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. But that next film, though.
Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. Great graphics.
Damn!
I don't know, bro. Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. This movie's trash garbage. This movie is donkey nuts, okay? I don't even know, I don't know if the same team was attached. I don't know what's going on, but we'll just go over the plot briefly, and I'm gonna go crazy in these lowlights. But anyways, the plot follows Freddy using this boy, showing up in his dreams, driving him crazy, teleporting him to Springwood, Ohio. I don't know how, I don't understand it, but it doesn't make sense. Who cares? Wants him to find his long lost daughter. Freddy had a kid now, feel me? They just adding to the lore. Exposition, and we're not on the lowlights yet. So he finds Freddy's daughter. She works at this home for troubled teens, which of course Freddy loves that. And so he's using the two of them to murder these troubled teens, essentially, in progressively goofy, stupid ways. Let's get into the highlights first. It's different. I mean, it's unique. I mean, like I said, this franchise is actually surprising in the way that every film feels different from the last. Every film tries something new. And this one tries something new. It genuinely does. Does it succeed? No, but it tries. When we enter Freddy's brain in the end of the film, there were some really dope visuals until those stupid CGI worms showed up. We're gonna get to it. But it was some really cool visuals, some interesting, you know what I'm saying, shots, and it was cool. Let's get to these lowlights. Now! This is the worst of the franchise. This is the stinker. Every franchise has to have one. Every franchise can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, the last one was bad, but it wasn't a stinker. This one stinks. It stinks. Let me tell you why. The plot, super contrived. Like I said, just teleporting to Springwood. Okay. Even the plot had some interesting concepts, like all the teenagers and children in Springwood, Ohio, of course it's Ohio, were murdered by Freddy. So at this point, no one has any kids. It's really crazy. And now there's a bunch of teenagers that just magically pop up. You know what I'm saying? Like the time loop, they redid a time loop, but this time it was just so much, just stupid. And then they happen to get out, run on feet, and make it to the nightmare house. I guess this is a good time for me to talk about this house. I never knew before how central Nancy's house would be to this franchise. It's in like every film. I think that's interesting. But of course in this film, they make it to that house by some miracle. The kills, I mean, I thought the kills were trash in the last one. Now the kills are stupid. Now the kills are goof. Freddy playing a video game. It's like an interesting concept, but they didn't have the graphics at the time to pull that off. And then Freddy talking about, good graphics. Shut up, Freddy.
Great graphics.
Shut up. I hate what they did with Freddy in this film. They had him on a broomstick. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too. It's like, it's funny, but again, this is the killer. This is the face of the franchise. This is the face that we're supposed to fear. Why are we making him silly? I get him even quipping before he kills people. It's cold. It'd be like, oh, this guy is cold. But now it's like, okay, Freddy, shut up, bro. Like, you're trying to be funny. It's the worst. It has the worst tone of the entire franchise. Again, it's like Looney Tunes. The sound effects too. Ooh. Yes, this film turned Freddy into a Looney Tunes. This is the image I had of Freddy before I watched the franchise. This is why I always said Freddy Krueger was overrated. Freddy Krueger, he's the face of horror, kinda, actually, yeah. He's like the face of horror, but I just never feared the guy. He was always silly. This film is what I always thought of Freddy Krueger. And watching it, I'm like, it hurt, bruh. It hurts. It hurt to watch. It physically disgusting. Disgusting. The effects, terrible. It's like they have more budget now, it's clear. but it looks cheaper than ever. This film looked cheaper than ever. His makeup, he looked like a freaking, it looked like he had Play-Doh on his face. It didn't even look like Burns anymore. Nah, fam, the acting was trash. I mean, the father-daughter dynamic between Freddy and his long-lost daughter was trash. I would say, I guess, let's rewind. Let's add one more highlight. I'm being overly negative. Let's be nice. The town kind of, the teachers like losing their mind and teaching to empty classes. It's goofy, it's campy, but it is kind of cool seeing, you know, the effects Freddy has on the town by taking out all their children. Like, it's pretty intense. But you know, keeping in line with being positive, let's point out my favorite scene. Oh. Yeah, I didn't like anything from this movie. There is no favorite scene. This movie is trash. Let's give a fun fact. Oh, I didn't feel like doing any research because the movie's not worth your time. It's not worth my time. I'm off this film. Let's move on to the next, where we have Wes Craven actually returning to the franchise. Oh wait, no. Yeah, obviously this is where this film goes. When I rated it, I gave it a 1 out of 10. But I don't want to waste any more time on Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, because I feel like I was rambling on a little bit. Anyways, let's talk about Wes Craven returning back to the franchise with a strong film in Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. Boom! Wes Craven's big return to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a freaking banger. And yeah, today's a new day. I like this angle because I like how the sun looks. It may look a little weird, I'll move around, but whatever. Anyways, Wes Craven's A New Nightmare takes a completely different angle from the other films. Like I say, this franchise, each film will be different from the last until we get to the remake, but we ain't there yet. Let's continue. Wes Craven's New Nightmare sees Leather hanging cap? Yeah. I may be saying her name wrong. It sees Leather. Yeah, I'm definitely saying her name wrong. Heather Langenkamp. There we go. This film sees Heather Langenkamp playing Heather Langenkamp and dealing with her success from the Nightmare on Elm Street film. It's very meta. Robert Englund plays Robert Englund while also playing Freddy, which is strange, but pretty cool at the same time. This film is layered, okay? It deals with Heather Langenkamp and her relationship, you know, trying to raise up her son. New Line Studios is trying to make a new Freddy film, and so they're contacting her, but then she's getting these random phone calls from stalker fans, even though it might be Freddy, you know what I'm saying? Like, the film is very weird. It sounds like there's a whole lot going on. It sounds like it's really jumbled, but it's not. If anything, my only complaint, we'll talk about that when we get to the highlights and lowlights, but for now, let's talk about the highlights. Freddy freaking Krueger in this film is peak. He's absolutely peak. His new design is peak. Besides that glove, we're gonna get to that in the lowlights. I hated the new glove. But Freddy Krueger's lines, he was still a little quippy, a little jokey, but it was in a way that, like, he's not playing. I don't know how to explain it. Like, he's joking around, but really just to scare people. One of my favorite tropes in the entire horror genre is the creepy kid trope. And it was done to perfection in this film because Heather Langenkamp's son was, you know, being messed with by Freddy. Freddy was mentally disturbing this kid and making him go a little bit crazy, making him fear sleeping, making him walk around the house mumbling to himself, all type of creepy stuff. And it was dope, bruh. It spooked me a little bit. And again, I've seen this film before. Seeing it in context, seeing it after seeing all the previous Freddy films, it made it hit even more differently. There was a freaking reference to "screw your past." That is now my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street line in the entire franchise. I freaking love it.
Screw your past. Do you have a past? Screw your past. It's all right.
It's like it was referential because the first film actually exists within this universe. So they can reference it, but not in a way that it's nostalgia bait, but in a way that's fun. You know, respectful, because it's Wes Craven, you know, coming back to his baby, coming back to his little franchise that he started. If you can't tell, I love this film, okay? I loved it. The performances, I guess since the actors are playing themselves, they're not necessarily acting. Okay, yeah, now the sun is starting to get on my freaking nerves. So since the actors are really playing themselves, they're not technically acting at times, but then they are, but I don't know. But the performances are all the best. Whether we're talking about the babysitter who's really barely in the film and gets murdered just viciously in front of the child. This is probably the best kid actor I think I've ever seen. Ever. In this film. Like, his performance was top tier. His performance was better than all the performances in Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Like, what are we talking about? He was great. Obviously, Heather Langenkamp, you know what I'm saying? And let me just mention, this belongs in the highlights. It's very relevant, it's very necessary. Heather Langenkamp in the 80s and 90s, she is freaking gorgeous. Regardless of that, yes, that counts as a highlight. Yes, it's that important. The drama between Heather, her child, and the hospital is top freaking tier. because the kid's starting to unravel mentally, and obviously Heather's not, you know, completely there because she's being tormented by Freddy as well. And the hospital seeing all this, like, I don't know if she's a fit parent, you know what I'm saying? So they're trying to question her. Have you showed your son your movies? Like, things like that. The drama in this film is a strong point. Now, let's get to these lowlights. There are a couple. I would say the pacing of this film. There's a fly in my room. It was just on top of the camera. I would say this film's pacing is a little bit slower, okay? And Freddy isn't really in it that much. He really isn't. His appearances are very sporadic, right? And until obviously like the climax where, you know, they're fighting Freddy, but throughout the entire film, Freddy's glove is really in it more than him. And let me just say, this new glove freaking sucks, okay? The intention of the glove originally is something that a maniac would make by hand himself. Now they got this Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, mutated looking organic skeletal structure razor hand. It does not work. Is it still scary? Yeah. Is it still cool? Is it cool? I'm gonna say yes, but it just goes against what Freddy fundamentally stands for. You know what I'm saying? What his aesthetics should be. But Freddy's barely even in the movie, to be honest. And when that's it's a low light, but it's also a highlight because once Freddy appears, it's like, oh no, it's going down. You know what I'm saying? It makes his appearances have more weight within the story. So I consider it a low light, but I also consider it a little bit of a plus. It's kind of weird. The film is really good. It's really good. The final low light. So throughout the film, they continue to make parallels to the Hansel and Gretel story, which I loved, and it all came full circle. But there were times within the film where they would show us unnecessary flashbacks, and they were a little bit on the nose, right? They were kind of treating the audience, you know what I'm saying? Like disrespecting us a little bit. Like, we can make these connections, Wes Craven. You don't have to. And I'm sure within the director's cut, it didn't have these flashbacks. I'm sure it was added in post because, you know, studio politics and they be ruining films. They do this all the time. But I love what they were going for, but I do feel like sometimes their approach was a little bit on the nose and a little bit too like, okay, we get it, you know, don't be so heavy-handed. If you were a little more relaxed with your storytelling, it would have been better. But the film is, I'm telling you, it would have been a little bit of a higher grade if they were more reserved, you know what I'm saying? And let the audience piece these things together rather than just flat out telling us like they did. But overall, I mean, those are our highlights and lowlights. This film was way better. I've seen it before though, but I don't remember liking it this much. I probably seen it when I was a kid. I was like, this movie's boring, you know what I'm saying? But seeing it now, this movie is fire. Speaking of fire, here's my favorite scene from the picture.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
I love that scene. I mean, it's a standout in the film, and you know, Freddy doing Freddy things, you know what I'm saying? But here's my fun fact for this picture as well.
In New Nightmare, Heather Langenkamp receives a disturbing phone call where Freddy's voice whispers, raspy and menacing, "Ever play Skin the Cat?" That line became iconic, but the first time Heather heard it wasn't during filming. She got a call just like that weeks before production even began. A raspy male voice, the same line, then silence. She hung up, spooked, and reported it to Wes Craven. Instead of brushing it off, Craven wrote it into the script. Even stranger, during post-production, another actor received a call, no one on the line, just breathing. The sound team verified it wasn't playback.
Very interesting making of this picture, but if I had to compare it to the other Nightmare on Elm Street films, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I almost forgot the name of it, ends up around here. This is the best Nightmare on Elm Street film. I've seen them all at this point right now. I've seen them all. And this is by far my favorite. By far. But that being said, I mean, you gotta follow this up with a banger, man. You gotta follow the best film in the franchise with another really good film in the franchise. And spoiler alert, they did. Yes!
Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Freddy versus Jason. Filled with 2000s goodness. Filled with that disgusting, well, we'll get to it in the lowlights. But Freddy vs. Jason is the horror crossover of the century. Okay, we see Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th they collab at points in the film. Face off against Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. They go head to head, both in the dream reality and in our reality. And both fights are pretty good. I don't want to say peak because I still feel like a lot of those early 2000 isms, and I feel like if they remade this film today, it probably would be crazy. Or if they had made it a little bit earlier, well no, if they made it a little bit earlier, it would have been way more campy and stupid. And there was a little bit of that camp and stupidity in this film, but we'll get to that in the lowlights. But yes, I mean, the whole plot of this film is Freddy's losing his power because people are forgetting about him. You know what I'm saying? Which is semi-meta because, yeah, this came out in 2003. The last one before, dang, I don't know. I didn't write down the year. But the last one before came out in the 90s. So it was a long break within the franchise before the big return, which was Freddy vs. Jason. So semi-meta, like, yeah, people were forgetting about Freddy a little bit. This movie acted as, you know, a reinvigoration for the franchise, even though they didn't continue after until the reboot, which we'll get to that reboot. We'll get to it. But yeah, it's very meta because Freddy's losing his powers, so he manipulates Jason to go back to Springwood, Ohio to kill people, so people start thinking, wait, Freddy's back. Eventually he gets enough power and then he comes into our world and then they fight, basically. And it was dope, I ain't gonna lie. It was dope. I would say the only, well, we'll get to that in the lowlights. First, we're gonna start with the highlights. Yes, sir. The fight between Freddy and Jason is freaking cinema. You hear me? Again, I said they fought in the dream world and in our reality. Obviously, Freddy's more overpowered in the dream world, so he was bing, 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 knocking Jason all over the freaking place. Then he found out what he was scared of. Then he used his fear to beat him. But then they come into the real world where Jason obviously has all the strength. He's chopping off Freddy's hand. He killed Freddy with his own freaking glove. It's peak. All right, so Freddy and Jason are good in this film, okay? Robert Englund, this is his last portrayal of Freddy to date. Another highlight for me is the drama within the town, AKA the story. Freddy losing his powers because he's been forgotten is a pretty cool plot point, but the way it's actually executed within the film, some of the members of the police force are left in the dark. They don't know what's going on, but some of the ones that are in the know are like, oh shoot, Freddy's back. We can't let this spread. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to contain him, but in doing so, they're only making it worse. By not just, you know, addressing them. I kind of feel the police, but at the same time, I'm like, bro, you need to fill everybody in. So I don't know. It's very conflicting, but it's layered. It's like, dang, do we want to side with the police? Typically, no. But we gonna slide with them here because, yeah, we gotta catch Freddy. And I'm rambling a little bit. But the drama within the town, the drama amongst the parents, the drama amongst the police force, the teenagers in the story, it's peak. It's one of the best parts of this film. The visuals, the visual effects in this film, honestly, are probably the best in the franchise, with one exception. And yeah, we gonna get to that in the lowlights. But the visual effects of this film, they all look pretty good. They have a lot of that. I've seen in other reviews, like they talk about this is a 2000s thing where someone gets punched and then they fly like a whole football field away. Which I thought it was kind of campy, but I thought it was kind of cool. But some people hate that. I thought it was kind of cool, kind of funny at times too. Visual effects wise, it looks solid because it's, you know, it's the latest entry in the series. So obviously they have the most technology at this point. They've been making these Freddy films for years. They know how to bring the dream worlds to life, and yeah, I mean they're learning from their mistakes, and yeah, everything checks out here. The dream world, although I would say the dream world is pretty much exclusively within the boiler room and within a house, which I would say we need a little bit more because I feel like in those older ones, they had like, you know, they were in like alleys and stuff, going through memories and stuff. Like they had a lot more unique, visually unique dream sequences in the older ones, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit of 5. That's crazy. But yeah, in the newer ones, they're cutting that out a little bit more, and I kind of miss it. But anyways, that sounds like a low light. So let's get started on these low lights. First of all, the smoking Freddy slug is stupid. I'm just gonna say it's stupid. That's some of that campy stuff. Part of me is like, okay, but that is a part, whether I like it or not, that is a part of Freddy's character, right? He's had these goofy, stupid movies. So including that one scene of just unadulterated camp and corniness is kind of paying homage to the previous Freddy films. And I get that, but I don't like it, okay? It was stupid. The stoner character literally was smoking with Freddy. What are we doing? And then he got sliced in half by Jason. And I was like, thank you. That's a great ending to this stupid scene. That was one of the worst parts of the film, and it really took me out at that point. The choppy 2000 slow-mo. This is what I was gonna say in the intro to this, you know, discussing this film. It looks so terrible. And that's not a Freddy vs. Jason specific complaint, but that's an early 2000s complaint. I feel like it makes the film look dated. It makes the film hard to read. It's illegible, and it looks stupid. And it's not, and it's like, why are we even using slow-mo in these sequences? But at worst, the choppy, ugly slow-mo. Like, cut it out, y'all. And again, talking about the stupid slug thing, tonal inconsistencies. Throughout the film, primarily serious, mostly serious. And then there's a couple stupid, campy scenes. And then at the end, I feel like it does get dialed up a little bit. Okay, with the black chick cussing out Freddy in a very dated sequence, by the way. Check this out.
Think you're so smart, huh, bitch?
Freddy!
How sweet. Dark meat.
No! Tell me something.
What kind of faggot runs around in a Christmas sweater?
I had a good laugh when I heard that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, dang, oh, this movie on, okay. But yeah, but even that, like, it was tonally, it was like, okay, it was unneeded. Like, that's the climax of the film. Like, you should be, and it's, of course, she, after she said what she said, she got bopped and killed. It's like, girl, like, what was that? Like, you feel me? Tonally, like, why did they include that? Freddy versus Jason, the climactic battle, our main characters are trying to make it out alive, and you over here cussing Freddy out. Stupid. And again, I do think, you know what I'm saying, they try to stereotype us, but this is not about that, but I feel like it's a little bit of that. I ain't gonna fake, but anyways, yes, tonal inconsistencies throughout. But for real, those are all my lowlights. So enjoy my favorite scene from the film. Man, they had my boy Jason looking cold. And enjoy this. Oh, yeah. I actually want to bring you my own fun fact. Yes, yes. In watching all the behind the scenes for a ton of these films to get these fun facts, to, you know what I'm saying, learn more about the filmmaking process, I learned about producer Robert Shaye, AKA Bob Shaye, who basically produced every Nightmare on Elm Street film. He literally was like, he had a hand in all of them from the jump, all the way up until Freddy VJ. So it's like, he's very involved in the franchise, and he makes a cameo in this film. I seen the dude's face, I was like, wait a minute, is that Bob? Bob Shaye plays the principal of the teenager school. So there was like a fight or something going on, and then, no, like an argument or something, and they were like, oh, the principal's coming, let's get out of here. And then Bob Shaye pulls up, he's just like, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy.
The principal. Will, let's go! Let's go!
So, yeah, that's my fun fact. So if I had to compare Freddy VJ to the other Nightmare on Elm Street films, this is about where it would line up. You feel me? I would say is actually pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I thought the story was solid. The one thing, I guess I didn't mention this in the lowlights, but the characters were kind of weak. They were caricatures. They were semi-expendable. And I just didn't really connect to him. I was like, I don't really care. But I would say the main actress in this, she cold too. But yeah, this is where it lines up in comparison to the other films. And yeah, we got one more left. A Nightmare on Elm Street, 2010 reboot. This movie blows. What I've said about this series consistently is each film is distinct and different from the last. Obviously with a remake, and it does try different things, but overall it's still hitting plot points from the first film. It's still hitting plot points from the rest of the franchise. And it doesn't offer enough sauce, enough visual distinctiveness. I don't know if that's a word, but let's hope it is. It doesn't offer enough, anything that justifies its existence. Other than like, yeah, we got the money and we got the rights, let's just make it. That's how it feels, you know what I'm saying? It feels like there's no passion behind it, you feel me? It feels like they have to just hit these beats just because it's obligatory, you know what I'm saying? Let's get to the highlights and lowlights, bro. This film really pissed me off. For the first highlight, I would say the sleep deprivation is actually shown perfectly. That's something excuse me, I drank some juice. Excuse me. That's something I feel like the first couple of Nightmare on Elm Street films did right. They showed how, you know, the lack of sleep was actually affecting our characters. They look beat up, they look exhausted because that should be the state that they're in because they're not sleeping, right? And I feel like that was executed perfectly in this film. They were relying on drugs, energy drinks, and they were taking micro naps. That's another highlight of this film. That's the only other highlight of this film. The micro naps / daydreams. That was the one like kind of unique aspect that they had where Freddy's kind of bleeding into our reality because our brains like shut down when we don't get enough sleep temporarily. So when their brains were temporarily shut down, they'd be asleep and Freddy would be there. And then they wake up again. Like, I thought that was pretty sweet. The one thing they tried to do that was different. But let's get to these lowlights because there are quite a few. The jump scares are freaking whack. You know, this is the most modern one, 2010s. So, you know, now they have modern horror sensibilities. They don't try to like ramp up to scariness or build a sequence that's scary. No, there's just jump scares now. And they sucked, bro. There was one where he was like walking toward Freddy and he turned around and it was like a big, like, jump scares in general, bro. Like, we can do better. Filmmakers, we can do better. I don't want to make it about me, but yes, I make little horror short films and I'll use a jump scare every now and then, but I'll have it build up and I'll have it be quick. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the jump scares in this film sucked. And they weren't scary. The film had no real passion behind it. They made it just because they could, just because they had the rights, and it felt soulless. This film feels soulless in my opinion. Like, it's just like, they're trying to recapture. They weren't even trying to recapture the magic, I feel like. They weren't. They really weren't. I didn't feel like they loved the franchise. I don't know if Bob Say produced this one. I'm gonna look it up. I don't know if he did. I ain't even do no research. I kind of just finished the film, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, fam, like, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it. No originality, no creativity. The dream sequences are boiler room merchants, and it's no color. You feel me? The only color is that ugly blue tint from the early 2010s that was in every freaking franchise picture. And I think they do that to hide reshoots. I think that's why they do that. That's why they all... Anyways, the movie is soulless, but yeah, I would consider this one a stinker. I would consider this one a stinker as well. It's not as bad as, say, The Final Nightmare, but it's bad. But even though it's bad, there's still some stuff to like. Like, here's my favorite scene.
Rufus!
I was just patting him.
I was just petting him. I like that scene. I don't know. I know a lot of people love dogs. They're like, how do you like that scene? It's awful. And here's a fun fact. This one, although it is a stinker, I'll give a fun fact. Why not?
He was offered the role of Freddy. At first, he was intimidated by the idea of replacing Robert Englund in such a memorable role, but couldn't stop thinking about it. He eventually agreed. Haley is also rumored to have had a quick brush with the Nightmare franchise in the past. The rumors were that he went to audition for the role of Glenn for the original film. He brought along a friend of his who had no intention of auditioning. When the casting agent saw his friend, they asked him to audition as well. From that audition, Johnny Depp entered Hollywood.
So yeah, the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 reboot was not my cup of tea, especially after seeing the other films. Now I like this. It's one of the worst. It's the second worst in my opinion. But if I had to compare it to the other ones, this is where it goes, this is where it goes. It's pretty buns. It's pretty trash. But nothing is worse than Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. I'm not gonna lie, it's not worse than that. It ain't that bad. We ain't doing all that. But yes, guys, we freaking did it. The entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Now I can rest. Oh, no pun intended. But you guys let me know how you feel in the comments down below. Have you seen the Nightmare on Elm Street films? What franchise should I watch next? Of course I have ideas. I'm gonna just throw this out there. I wanna do the James Bond movies. Feel me? Yes. You know how many of those there are? I want to do the Godzilla movies. You know how many of those there are? But y'all let me know any franchises that y'all want to see me break down. Y'all want to see me rate, rank, and review. But until next time, Scatpeezy here. Y'all take it easy. And I'm out this thing. God bless. Go pray, go read your Bibles, and go drink water. I'm gone.
It's literally the same cop as last time.
He's the chief. This was a while. It was like a year ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Where are your weapons or whatever?
He got him.
Yes.